Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hoops Hall of Fame podcast for episode number 41. I know it's been a while since I put out a podcast for you guys. I've had a lot going on, but I'm going to try to get out at least 3 episodes a week. So today I got a really interesting topic for you guys, probably a topic that you haven't heard, or at least haven't heard the way I'm going to discuss it today. And that is the difference between shooting penetration and attacking penetration. How to get to the basket, how people get to the basket in basketball. And this podcast is kind of stem off from episode number 24 where we talked about controlling your defender. So if you haven't listened to that podcast, I'd go back and listen to that again. Podcast number 24, controlling your defender. But in this podcast, we're talking about shooting penetration versus attacking penetration. What is the difference? Well, before we get into it, I want you to visualize the difference between LeBron and Steph Curry. LeBron James and Steph Curry, how they get to the basket. Think about the ways they get to the basket. LeBron is a physical freak, right? He's 6'8", 6'9", 250, 260. You know, he's not as athletic now as he used to be, but he's still, pretty athletic and fast and can jump out of the gym and very strong compared to anybody else in the league. When he gets to the basket, he uses his body. He basically muscles people to the rim. People give him a lot of space, but again, he eats up that space. He takes the dribble, gets a little bit closer, and then attacks. And he really, it looks like a lot of the time, especially now that he's getting older and he's not as explosive as he used to be, it really looks like he's muscling his way to the rim. Steph, on the other hand, when he gets to the basket, again, he's not as athletic. He's definitely not as big as LeBron, and he's probably not as good at getting to the basket from a pure, athletic power perspective. But when he gets to the basket, does it not look that much easier? Does he not have much more of a lane to the basket? It's basically like he leaves his defender in the dust and gets to the basket. Now I want to describe to you guys and explain to you how they do this, and probably, in my opinion, the best way to get to the basket in basketball. So now that you have that image in your head of LeBron attacking the basket versus Steph Curry attacking the basket, how do they do that? What is the difference? Well, the difference between the two on how they get to the basket comes from their ability to shoot the basketball. Yes, the ability to shoot the basketball from long range does affect how you get to the basket. Again, like I mentioned, when people are guarding LeBron, a lot of the time they give him space. The San Antonio Spurs, their game plan was to force LeBron to shoot and lay off of him. Even if he hit a few, they were just going to stick with their game plan and force him to shoot. And a lot of the time, when they played, I think, 3 finals against each other. A lot of the time, it did work. LeBron became a better player later on in his career when he was in Miami and was able to still take advantage of the way they were playing him. But that's what they do. They lay off him. They force him to shoot. Obviously, with Steph Curry, this is not an option. If you so as much as drop your hand, he's going to shoot, even if you're standing right in front of him. So the ability to shoot the ball affects how well you get to the basket. And again, if you haven't listened to podcast number 24, Controlling Your Defender, go back and listen to that because we'll describe more in detail how this happens. But briefly, why this is so effective is because if you can shoot the ball from anywhere on the court, you have a quick release, and you're just dangerous from anywhere on the court when you pass half court. Defenders are going to be right up in your grill a lot of the time. They're going to force you one way. They're going to jump at any fakes you make, any crossover moves. They're going to just be reacting to the moves you make. So it makes it a lot easier to get to the basket because if you get them to jump, you get them to lean one way, to start sliding one way, and then you go the other, you'll have a lot more space to operate and get to the basket. Again, think Steph Curry. When he gets to the basket, he has a lot of space to work with, and he usually leaves his defender in the dust because he's such a threat to shoot the long ball. LeBron, on the other hand, again, not so much a factor. People usually lay off of him. So I want to stress to you guys the importance of shooting the basketball. Shooting, in my opinion, is probably the most important offensive skill in basketball. If you can shoot, you can pretty much score any way you want to. Now, again, it's important to be able to jump, to be athletic, to have other skills in your game, yes. You know, if LeBron could shoot the way Steph Curry can, obviously he would be the best player of all time, bar none. You know, it would be no contest. But you work on your entire game, but the importance of shooting is very, very important, obviously. If you can shoot the ball, you can control the entire flow of the game, you can control the entire offense. So shooting is probably the most important skill in my opinion. Again, you should be working on every aspect of your game, but if you can shoot the ball, you can get to the basket that much easier. And if you combine that with ever increasing athletic ability, your quickness is always getting better, your jumping's getting better, you're getting stronger, but you're also a dead-eye shooter, you have no limits to how far you can take this thing. So again, just a little bit of motivation for you guys to continue working on your jump shot, realizing that it's probably the most important skill in basketball offensively. And I hope you guys can take that to heart. Again, if you have any questions about how to improve your shooting, just check out the rest of my podcast. I got quite a few episodes about shooting. But again, if there's anything I haven't addressed thus far when it comes to shooting, make sure you let me know. Again, subscribe on YouTube, and I'll talk to you on the next episode of the Hoops Hall of Fame podcast.